Now I can't remember how long I've been on these stool softeners for. It's not been this whole time, but I've ended up in hospital with this issue a few times. The first time was about, God, when was it? I was living 6, 7, maybe 8 years ago. Ended up in hospital. Oh God, it was horrible. The first time, I'd had issues before where I ended up really bad constipation, and I kept going to toilet, and nothing was coming out, and I stopped being able to go for a wee, and that's what makes it worse when you can't go for a wee and you go, and when you try to wee you can't because your bowel is pushing for you to go for a poo. So if you notice, when you go to the toilet for both, they both typically come out at the same time. So my bowel's constantly pushing, so no matter how hard I concentrate on getting my bladder to do what it's meant to do, it doesn't happen. And I try and like concentrate on other things and let it happen naturally, and nothing happens. At first I can do it, but then it gets to the point where I can't go at all. So the first time I did, I ended up at hospital, and it was really embarrassing going to hospital. And you go to like A&E and they're like, what's your problem? And you're like, I can't go to the toilet. And you half expect them to ask you something stupid, and they never do. But when it gets to the point when you can't go for a wee, that's when it's very serious, and it can cause a lot of issues. So I went, and the you have to be examined, and I don't need to tell you where the doctor puts the fingers. And the first time I went, oh God, I got given this thing called Movicol, which I don't know if it's a stool softener or not, and I got told I had to take 8 sachets with 2 litres of water, and within 2 hours it should flush me out. So I went home with this Movicol, and it was horrible. I kept gagging on it. I gag on the one that I take now, that's horrible. And took it, and I'm sat there and my stomach started grumbling, and like I was getting really bad stomach ache, and I was getting cramps, and I kept thinking, hold on as long as possible, because I was getting stomach pains anyway, but this was like a whole new level. And then I went to the toilet, and it was horrific. I thought I was going to die. And I'm not even exaggerating. If you've ever had this issue, I mean, I've had, well, I'll tell you in a minute. And then it sorted me out, basically. But because I'd obviously been constipated for days, I wasn't very well for a few days afterwards. And then it happened, I don't know, maybe 6 months later, and I was taking anything and everything that you could take for constipation. My dad even got, like, my mum even like told my dad to get me these things that you put up your bum. That was an experience. I couldn't keep it up though because it was horrible. And I was trying everything. I was trying all the old wives' tales, everything. And I ended up on the phone to 111 to this nurse, crying because I couldn't go for a wee, and it felt like I was being stretched inside. And she's like, you're gonna have to go to hospital, and I'm like crying down the phone saying I don't want to go to hospital, it's embarrassing. I mean, it doesn't really embarrass me now anymore because I'm over it. Like, if you can't go to the toilet and it's stopping you from going for a wee, it's really serious. So I ended up going to hospital, and then I saw this male doctor, and I was like, oh, by the way, I'd taken 14 Movicol. And I was like, I've taken 14 Movicol. And he's like, what, 1 4? And I went, yeah. And he's like, and you've still not been? I'm like, no. He's like, I've never heard of that before. And I'm like, oh God, is that bad? He's like, well, yeah. He said, you should have more than gone. He said, you should be sat on the toilet permanently for a few hours. And I was like, oh my God, it must be really bad. So he's like, well, we're gonna have to put a catheter in because if you've not been for a week, we need to empty your bladder. It's very dangerous. So I got put in a cubicle, and then I ended up with a different doctor, a female doctor, and she examined me, and she's like, I can't understand why it's not coming out because it's not rock hard, but that'll be the Movical, it softens it. And then anyway, a nurse came in to put a catheter in. Do you know what? I shouldn't even be telling you about the past. I should be telling you about this week, but I'll tell you this quickly. And she put the catheter in, and they can control how fast it comes out. So she turned the thing so it basically come out really fast. And because I'd not been in quite a few hours and my bladder was really full and my bowel was full, when she turned the thing so it came out as fast as possible, I suddenly started to feel extremely sick, and I couldn't understand why. And then I got more and more nauseous, and it was like when I didn't really have any confidence, and after I don't know how long, I was like, I think I'm going to be sick. So she said, oh, there's no sick balls in here. So she rushed off and got one, and I had got the sensation mixed up with fainting, and I was actually fainting. And I fainted, and I came round, and they didn't realise that I'd fainted, and there was like nurses and doctors everywhere because they'd thought I'd collapsed, and I'd actually fainted because of the pressure release from having that catheter in, and then it getting, when they turn the nozzle and it comes out fast, that had actually made me faint. But I was hooked up to all the machines, and my heart rate was super low, and I was on oxygen. Anyway, I ended up having to have an enema, and I was in a cubicle, and I thought they was going to let me go to the toilet, but no, they wheeling one of those toilets on where you sit on like a wheelchair thing with a toilet on. I won't tell you any more about that horrific experience. Anyway, Wednesday, I knew there was a serious problem. I knew it weren't just going to resolve itself, and I knew I hated the taste of the sachets that I've got. So instead of taking 8, which you're meant to take if you've got an impaction, which it definitely was, I just took 4, and I struggled to take 4. Mixed it all in the same glass, and I wanted to cry. I was gagging on it. It was disgusting. It was vile. And I drank 4, and then I think I did stuff. I was in constant pain and really discomfort. My stomach was swollen. Sitting down hurt. I could still wee a little bit by that point. And it was horrific. And I decided to just try and carry on, but I just didn't feel well. And then I cooked my evening meal, and I made a chicken spaghetti bolognese with lots of tomato, because normally if I've something tomato based, it forces me to go to the toilet really quickly. So I chopped tomatoes, I had passata, I had tomato puree. I made it really, really rich. Couldn't go to the toilet. I was waiting for it. Nothing. No stomachache. Nothing. Just my bowel constantly pushing. Kept going and sitting on the toilet for half an hour at a time, doing all the tricks that I'd learnt, like if you rock backwards and forwards. I'd sometimes sit really far back on the toilet, sometimes I'd sit really forwards, because different positions can cause you to go to the toilet. Couldn't go. Would sit there until my legs were hurting, or my hips or my back were hurting, then I'd get up and walk around a little bit. I was sweating because it was constantly trying to push itself out, but nothing was moving. I then had one more of the sachets, and then about half an hour later I had another one. So I'd had 6. You're supposed to have 8 in the space of 6 hours, but I basically had 6 in the space of 6 hours. Went back up, sat on the toilet, sat there for about an hour and a half. My legs were hurting, my hips were hurting, my back were hurting. I got up, I was walking around, I was like, oh God, I don't know what to do. I really didn't know what to do. I had a strong coffee, because sometimes if I have it and I realise quite soon, I will get a large caramel macchiato from Starbucks, and normally about an hour later, hour and a half later, it gets things moving and forces things to move. And obviously I can't go to Starbucks, so I did a double coffee in one cup. Then I had another one, went back up, sat on the toilet, and nothing's happening. And I basically needed to get, do you know those stomach cramps that you get where it's like grumbling and stomach crampy and achy? I needed that, because it's not going to come out unless I get that. Even though my bowel's pushing, it's not coming out, and it's constantly pushing, and I can't stop it, and sitting down's painful because it's basically halfway out. Well, it's down. Does it come like down a tube or something? I don't know what comes down, and I mean, I should know, seeing as I have issues going to the toilet. And I kept going and sitting on the toilet for hours at a time. I was tired. I was meant to actually be cleaning my car up, because my car was going to get it spray painted, bodywork done the next day, and I'm like pouring in sweat. I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I'm sat on the toilet, and I'm like, I just want to go to sleep. I'm tired, I've had enough. My body's aching because I've been sat on the toilet most of the day. I don't know what to do. I got really emotional, got really upset, because by this point I couldn't even have a wee, and I was desperate for a wee. Sitting hurt, standing hurted, everything hurt me. There was nothing I could do. I was like, and I knew I was meant to ring 111 and get an ambulance, because I've been told off for letting it go on and on and on. And then I was like, I need to have a wee. If I don't have a wee, I'm going to have to ring for an ambulance, because it's not safe to not have a wee. So I got this idea of making my body think that I was weeing when I wasn't, because in the past I've managed to get myself to wee. I can never empty my bladder, but I've managed to like maybe a third or half empty it, and I thought I'm going to have to do that. So I got like a drinks bottle, like I had a drink in it like the night before, and it was like a Dr. Pepper bottle. So I filled it with water, took all my clothes off, and went and stood in the shower and held the bottle of water against the top of my leg, and then moved it away a little bit so the water kind of run down the front of my right leg, and then also down my inner thigh. So basically then it made my body think that I was having a wee, and it forced my bladder to kind of start emptying itself. But it's basically I weed in the shower. But I couldn't do it on the toilet, because I needed it to run down my legs, and if I would have done it on the toilet, it would have gone all over the floor. So I did it, and all of a sudden my bladder forced me to wait, even though my bowel was constantly pushing. And I probably a third emptied it. Then I had a shower. Then I crawled onto my bed, 2/3 of me laid on it, with the other third hanging out of the bed, and fell asleep for about half an hour. Woke up, my bladder was full again, it was throbbing, my bowel was pushing, and I just burst into tears. Every time I tried to get up, and my bladder was so full, it was stinging. Went back in had to do it again, where I had the water against me and had it dripping down me, and I managed to like a third empty my bladder. Then I went and sat on the toilet for about 2.5 hours. I was rocking backwards and forwards, because sometimes rocking backwards and forwards, if you're not too impacted, it can start it. And then at one point I squeezed so hard, because I thought, I can't carry on, I'm struggling to keep my eyes open, something needs to happen, because nothing happens by lunchtime at the latest. I gave myself till lunchtime, knowing that I'd still get told off for not ringing hours earlier. So I'm rocking backwards and forwards, and then I'm like, right, I'm going to squeeze, and I squeezed and squeezed and squeezed, and I didn't really have the strength to do it, and I did it, and I could feel it start to come out, and then it it stopped, so I knew I had impaction. And crying. And then I was like, right, I'm going to go and take 6 powders. I thought I'm going to take 4. So I went down, took 2. As soon as I finished them, made another 2 up, took them. I got some Lucozade, I took some painkillers, which I didn't want to take because that's one of the reasons why I'm impacted. And I think I got back in bed and fell asleep for about 2 hours. Woke up, desperate for a wee. My bowel's still constantly pushing. I ache all over, my arms ache, my hips ache, my back ache, my legs ache, my feet ache, everywhere aches. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. My car had gone by that point, my dad had gone. And I led there and I'm like, there's no point going on the toilet. I've been sat on the toilet for about 18 hours over the last day. I hurt everywhere because I've been sat on the toilet. I'm going to have to either ring the doctors, who are probably going to tell me just to ring straight for an ambulance anyway, or I'm going to have to ring an ambulance. And I'd promised myself I'd wait till 12, and about 10 o'clock I thought, I actually went and tried to get in the shower and have a wee the same way I'd had a wee twice the night before, well, a few hours earlier, and it wouldn't work because my bowel was pushing so hard and nothing was happening that my bladder wouldn't even let me have a wee, and my bladder was full because I'd had a full glass of Lucozade. I'd had the sachets of drink to get my bowel working, and those sachets basically fill your bowel with liquid and ingredients that basically stimulate your bowel to get it to basically empty itself. And normally if you take 8, normally within like 8 hours it does it, and it hadn't. And then I'd had another 4 sachets, so I'd had 12 sachets out of my box. And the ironic thing is, I actually ordered a box of them on the Tuesday, and I didn't know Wednesday I was going to end up on the toilet for 18 hours in total. Not all in one go, but over the space of like 24 to 30 hours. I was on there for 18 of them. And it's funny that I ordered them and I've not had any for about 6 weeks, so my doctor obviously knows I'm not taking them daily. I've not took any since, but I'm going to have to start taking them more often because I can't do this again. Last time I said I can't do this again, and it's happened again. And it really can't keep happening, and I can't keep not going to the hospital just because I don't want to go to hospital. Anyway, so what happened was, couldn't go to the toilet, so I thought, years ago, before I knew I had this problem, when it first started happening, I used to have a bath, and it used to relax me so much I could wee basically in the bath, then I'd have to get out and have a shower and clean the bath. But I'd only like part fill the bath, like right at the bottom. So I thought, I'm going to go and run a bath, and I'm going to run it really high, and I don't care if I wee myself, I don't even care if I bloody poo myself in the bath. I just want my body to start working again. And when you've been in absolute agony for 24 hours and you'd not been well for days before and you'd not realised what was going on, because I never realised, even when the day before I can't empty my bowel fully, it never clicks in my head, and it should do by now. So I'm in absolute agony, I'm hurting all over, I'm crying, my stomach's hurting, my bowel's constantly pushing, so I'm in pain there. And I start running a bath and I put some bath salts in it. I don't know if I filmed that, I feel like I filmed it, which would be weird. And I'm stood there and I'm getting these really bad stomach cramps. And I'm thinking, oh God, I hope this bath is up and runs, I need to get in and have a bath. And then the pain got so unbearable and I'm like, I'm going to have to go and sit on the toilet. And I got really angry because I thought, I'm just going to sit there and nothing's going to happen. Because that's basically what had been happening, nothing, basically. And I was like, oh great, I'm going to have to go and sit. And I rushed upstairs to my bathroom. And I sat on the toilet and my stomach's grumbling. I could feel you know, like when you're desperate for the toilet and you know you've got like a few seconds to sit down, and as soon as you sit down it basically empties itself. I had that feeling as well, and that's the feeling I'd been needing to get, because I knew once I'd got that feeling it would help push it out. So I'm on toilet and it's pushing like crazy, and I thought this is it, it's going to happen. But I also knew I had to push with all the strength that I had, which at that point was pretty much zero strength. But I knew you've got to do it with it, because even though that's got a lot of medication inside me by that point, I had 12 sachets of the stool softener in me, and my bowel was full because it draws the liquid into the bowel as well. That's what it does. I knew I also had to push, and I knew it was going to be like a rock hard lump that's going to come out at first, and it's probably going to make me cry, because that's normally what happens. I've had to have this in hospital, and like being there, I mean, I had an enema once and literally couldn't stop pooing for about 30 minutes, because that was when I'd been eating, like I'd not been to the toilet for 10 days. So anyway, I sit on the toilet and it's pushing like mad, and I could feel it moving down further and further, and then it got to the point where it starts to come out, and it wouldn't come out because it was rock hard. So I'm squeezing like crazy, hoping that I don't injure myself, because that would be just typical, wouldn't it? And I haven't, for the record. And then it always does this, where it starts to come out and it's so big, it forces me off the seat a little bit. And as it's forcing me off the seat, it's coming out and it's huge. And it's more than one lump. It's normally a few lumps that come out at first. And it's absolute agony, and it's pushing like me off the seat, and I'm like hovering above the toilet whilst the first 3 large bits are coming out, and it's like 3 melons that are coming out, because that's what it feels like. I feel sorry for anyone who has to go through this on a regular basis. And I was in tears from the pain, and then more and more started to come out, quite big but soft, and it was absolute agony. And then I was able to wee a little bit, but not have a full wee, because my bowel was still pushing like crazy, and I kept having to flush the toilet. Oh yeah, guess what happened? So anyway, managed to almost empty my bladder, which I couldn't fully empty my bladder for 2 days, because you know it wasn't working properly, and it takes a couple of days to sort itself out basically. So it basically blocked the toilet, and when I flushed it, probably the 3rd time, it came right up with water and poo, and the water was brown. So I'm there like thinking, oh my god, I'm gonna have to go to the toilet very soon, and I'm there with toilet brush trying to unblock the toilet, and then the water starts to slowly go down, and I flush it and it came up and didn't go down again. So I'm there with my arm in the toilet with the toilet brush, ramming the toilet brush down, trying to empty the toilet, and it wouldn't empty. It's full of water, and I'm like, I'm hurting everywhere, I want to go to bed, I can't deal with this. Basically it wouldn't unblock. And then I remembered something my dad had told me a good 10 years ago, but I needed to part empty the toilet. So I'm there emptying it down my sink with a jug, and it took me ages. You wouldn't believe how much bloody liquid the toilet holds. So I did that, and basically if you shove your mop down the toilet, it's got like a suctioning thing, and you push it down a few times and then it enters the toilet. And that's basically how I unblocked the toilet. So it worked fun. Took me about an hour in total before I realised about the mop, and then I did the mop, and then I bleached everything. Bleached the toilet, outside the toilet, inside the toilet, the lids, the seats, on the floor, even though nothing went on the floor. I bleached my sink, I bleached my arms, because I had my arms down the toilet. I just didn't care anymore. And I literally ate everywhere. I had a temperature, didn't feel well, my bladder wouldn't fully empty, my bowel was still full. I looked like I was 9 months pregnant with triplets. I'm not even exaggerating. every time I've had this issue, my stomach's blown up, and it's probably due to those stool softeners, but my stomach's not even fully gone down, and it's now just gone into Sunday. It's not as big as it was. I was huge. But yeah, that's what happened. And I thought I'll have a bath and then I'll go to bed, and then the day got on and I thought, no, I won't go to bed, I'll stay up till midnight. But I don't know how I stayed up. I had no energy. I was aching everywhere. My hip was killing me, my legs were killing me, my back were killing me. And it was because I'd mainly sat on the toilet for hours. And I knew I should have rung the ambulance, but I always try and sort myself out. But I was crying. I was like, I've been eating like rubbish for weeks and weeks. That's probably not helped anything. I'm obviously stuck in the house, and when you can't move around, that obviously causes constipation as well. I don't take as many painkillers as I once did, but I know painkillers is part of the reason. But it's also poor diet and lack of exercise. So I didn't get any crap food this week on the shopping. I'm going to eat healthier, and I'm going to do those sachets. I've not done any since, because for the first 2 days, every time I went for a wee, Buddy had diarrhea at the same time. I can now fully empty my bladder, and I had been having bladder issues for a couple of weeks because I've been going to the toilet much more, and I think it was related to that, because since my bladder started working properly again, I've not been going to the toilet an obscene amount like I was before. So I think it had been building up for weeks. Basically, it was tiring, it was horrible, and I still don't feel great. I remember Friday thinking, oh, I'm going to get loads done. I was still exhausted. Today I'm still a little bit exhausted. I did a couple of things, but it's tiring. I'm going to go back onto those powders. I don't think I'm going to do one every day. I'm probably going to do one every other day. They don't taste very nice, but they taste better just one at a time rather than 8. I always gag when there's more than 2 or 3 in the glass. So I think I'm going to do one every other day. Because I don't even have toilet problems normally. I've not been going as much since. Like today I've only been once, so I'm definitely going to have to go on to those powders. But the reason my doctor put me on them is because I kept not being able to go, and she's like, you're going to have to go on these. Because I work very well, and she's like, well, firstly, we need you to be going to the toilet properly. And she put me on them. And she's like, I want you to go home and take 8. And I looked at her, and she's like, you need to take 8. So I took 8, and they cleared me out pretty fast. About 2 hours later, it forced a massive poo out of me, and it hurt. So, yeah, I'm tired. I'm going to go to bed soon. But yeah, even days afterwards, you're still worn out. My bum's not sore. I can wait properly. I've just not been to the toilet that much. So, potentially it's starting all over again. So I'm going to have to go on those horrible powders. So that's what was wrong with me. It took up all day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and today I've got a bit done, but yeah, it's horrible, because even when you can go back to going to the toilet, your body still needs to recover from being in pain, and constantly trying to go to the toilet when it's not working, and then your bladder's not working, and then you're meant to go to hospital, and then you get told off if you don't go to hospital, and then when your doctor finds out it's happened again and you didn't do anything about it, go to hospital, you get told off. My doctor doesn't even know that this happened a couple of months ago, before lockdown, when I had that flu thing, and I had it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. At the beginning when I first got ill, I had it, and I took 8 sachets, didn't work. Next day I took 8, and then eventually I was sat on the toilet and forced it out, and I thought I was bloody pooing an aeroplane. It was horrible. So I just think my bowel doesn't work as well as it should for loads of reasons. And that is what happened, and it's going to be a long vlog full of TMI, and I'm probably going to get someone commenting, why did you tell us that? Well, I did warn you, so don't blame me, blame you for being cocky and watching it. I'm sick of people having a go at me on here. You're not going to make me delete my account. Oh god, I should delete that, can it? Oh my god, that is really bad. Looks like I've got foundation on and not rubbed it in. Oh my god. I don't want to just tan that bit because then I'll probably end up with a stripe or something. So you can't see it when I do that. But I am tired. I've not had that much to drink today. I'm going to have a cup of tea. I'm going to have a cup of tea. Maybe a glass of Diet Coke. I'm going to go to bed at some point. Maybe in about an hour. Hopefully I'll feel better tomorrow. It does take a lot out of your body because your body's like trying to go to the toilet, and until you go, like it's constantly pushing but nothing's happening, and then you say, oh god, that's, do you know what, honestly, out of all the times I've had this issue, it's the longest I've sat on the toilet, and I kept sitting there and I'm like, oh please, I'm rocking backwards and forwards, I'm trying to force myself to wee by concentrating on something else and trying to like get it to come out. So it is draining, and I'm hoping never to have it again. Probably will happen. I think it just gets worse every time. If you end up in hospital, they want to give you an enema. Oh god, do you know what? Enemas are so unpleasant. Like, when I had one last time, and they like, stay in bed for as long as you can hold it for, and after about 2 minutes I'm thinking, stuff that, I'm going in the bathroom, because I'm not going to get to the point where I'm trying to get out of bed and it comes flying out. Can you imagine that? I know things happen, but I didn't want that to happen. I remember going in there and standing there, my stomach's grumbling, I'm in so much pain that I almost collapse. And then I start crying because I was given the option of either having an enema or being put to sleep and then manually extracting it, and I'm thinking, absolutely not, I'm gonna go and have the enema. If you've ever had an enema and you've not been to the toilet for 10 days, you will regret picking the enema, because I ended up wishing I'd just let them do it. And I remember I'd had this enema and I'm in the toilet and I'm stood there because it weren't at the point where it was going to come out, and I was literally crying because of the pain in my stomach from the enema. It was so horrific. I thought someone had their hand in there and they was ripping me apart. That's how painful it was. And I was crying, and then I went cold, because you always go cold even if you don't have the enema. You go cold and you get goosebumps all over. Then you're pouring in sweat but you're shivering and you got goosebumps. Your stomach's hurting like mad. Your bowel's still trying to force itself to empty and it's not working. Your body feel faint. I felt faint on the toilet the other day several times. I almost blacked out when I got up at one point before I could go. And I was like when I'd had the enema and I was in the toilet, I was crying. I was like, I thought I was going to die. Honestly, I was like, oh god, I'm going to die. Oh, I should have let them manually extract me. Like, crying. And I'm like, oh my god, I'm going to die. And honestly, the pain was so horrific, I thought I was going to die. And then all of a sudden, the most extreme pain inside me. And then it fired something out of me. And it kind of lifted me up at the same time. And I'm like, they're like thinking, oh my god, is that it? Where's the rest? And I started crying. I'm on the toilet crying for about 5-10 minutes, and then all of a sudden, and it was coming out of me for a good half an hour, and I kept having to flush the toilet, thinking if it blocks it's going to be really like embarrassing. And then the wee didn't start for ages. I think my bowel had half emptied itself and then it let me wee, because I still had this desperate pain like in my bladder. Anyway, a little TMI story for you. I'm still exhausted from it, but I should be okay. Oh god, I don't want to go through it again. I said that like early February when I couldn't go, and I ended up having 16 of those powders and then forcing it out, and I was really ill. And I've had it mild, like a mild version of it, maybe like 6 weeks ago. But I never really get any warning, and I should have known the day before when I partly went. I should have been like, oh God, you've got this issue. And I should have took 8 of the powders and just made myself go. But I didn't. But you live and learn. Hopefully I'll learn. That is it. The longest video ever. And I've got to edit it.